ThisDay. It is Wednesday and it's October 5th. We have a couple meetings to tell you about. So the first one is at 9:30 this morning, and that is the VMS Board regular session. And that will be at 9:30 this morning at the Willow Room. And the first part of that will be open and the second part will be closed. So you want to get there a little earlier rather than later. At 1:30 this afternoon, we have the GRF Mobility and Vehicles Committee meeting, and that will be in the boardroom as well as virtual. All right, on our show today, we have Pat Bates, who is a candidate for Orange County Supervisor in our district. And then we have a Pacific Air Show recap. We had a chance to talk to the organizer to see what kind of feat it takes to really put that thing together, because it's a really big deal. And then we talked to Providence Mission Hospital about Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is the month of October. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our weather while we are looking at nice, calm skies for a little bit anyway. Nice and warm, very pleasant today, 82-66, 83-68. Then we begin our warm up on Friday, 86-66, 87-67, but then right back down to a lovely day on Sunday, 81-68. Our sunrise this morning was at 6:48, and our sunset will be at 6:30. Now, just a couple of things to let you know. We have the third annual board meeting that is happening tomorrow, and that is live right here on Village Television. That will immediately follow our morning broadcast of ThisDay, and that will be at 9:30 in the morning. And then the next day, we have the Meet the GRF board candidates. That will be televised here, and that'll be also at 10 a.m. And you can meet Catherine Bryans, Bunny Carpenter, Andrew Ginocchio, James Hopkins, Yvonne Horton, and Lenny Ross. All right, when we come back, we will get to know more about Pat Bates, so stick around.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Plains. I'm from Fullerton, California. I absolutely love Dr. V. I am very happy to drive from Fullerton to Laguna Woods. I was having an issue with my vision. There was strobe light going off in my eye. Dr. Vias was able to get me in to see him the next day. Once I met him and he diagnosed the problem with my eye, I felt very comfortable with him, and I'm just really happy that I found him.
Hearing is part of your foundational health. Having the best hearing you can affects every aspect of your life. Hearing is related to your balance, your memory, your communication, and your overall positive well-being. Hi, I'm Ann Mundell Noel, owner of Amazing Hearing. As an audiologist, my passion is to give you the best hearing health available based on your individual needs. Call us today to schedule an appointment. We're located in the Trader Joe Shopping Center.
Hi, I'm Vince Ferragamo. I spent some of my best years as an NFL quarterback, but today I've got a new team, and we're helping seniors who spent their best years fighting for our country, defending our freedom, and informing the nation. Our hometown heroes need help. AgeWell Senior Services is their lifeline. Nonprofit AgeWell can do all of this because you care enough to give. Please join me in supporting AgeWell. Donate today.
Village Television presents Friday Films, only on Village Television. Fridays at 2 and 6 p.m. Foreign films, dramas, and comedies. Award-winning films, romance and mystery. Independent films. Every Friday, only on Village Television.
Welcome back. Well, as I mentioned, I have Pat Bates here, who is a candidate for Orange County Supervisor. Well, welcome. It's nice to see you again.
It's great to be back. I love to come to Laguna Woods Village.
Well, you know, there's a lot going on, and I'm sure they're very happy to hear about some of the things that you and I are going to discuss, because you're running for our district.
Yes.
And you've been in politics for a really long time, right?
I have.
And so many people, which is a little bit like what we were talking about, is there are some politicians who give the word politician a bad name. And many times we go, well, what if we don't want to vote for a politician, but we want to vote for somebody brand new coming in? However, with your history, you were telling me that you really felt that it was important to stay in. Why?
Very important to stay in. And I'd like to address the career politician. You know, it's like almost like name calling. And I
Yeah.
consider people who step into the arena of policy to be a noble profession, because we set policy based on what the people want and need. What are their goals? I'm there to represent their goals and hope I can affect those, because those affect our lives, the quality of our life, and not just in the present. Things that are set today in law affect our children, our grandchildren, and on for decades going forward.
Right.
So it is a very important profession. And I've had the opportunity, as I mentioned, every time I turned out of one of my elected positions, another one opened. And I thought, is that my destiny? Was that
Yeah.
door opened for me by the good man upstairs or good woman upstairs? I think so. So I enjoy it so much. I mentioned to you I was a social worker by profession.
Yeah.
Actually, I was focused on aid to the disabled. Those are people who have drug addiction, mental health issues, and also seniors. That was my caseload, as a matter of fact. In fact, I started with Medi-Cal. It was a whole different program in those days than it's become. Much more accessible, much more coverage, and not so much stress in trying to get into the program.
Right.
So that's one of my goals, to make sure that I continue to serve our seniors. I did that while I was on the board. I started the senior summits, by the way, with former supervisor Tom Wilson. We started those in 2002, and they've grown to be something so helpful, so much information, and I certainly will be continuing those if I am elected, and I look forward to that.
Well, our seniors have a lot to be concerned about. You know, we hear a lot of things in the news, like Social Security, and obviously inflation is really hurting a fixed income right now. What are some things that you think you can do to help the seniors going forward?
I think on the cost of living, the county's role in that will be certainly what are the costs that government has placed at the local level. Do we need to audit all the departments and ensure that any fees that are assessed for services that the taxpayers pay for are legitimate, because you have to be able to run various departments like animal care services. This is something very important to all of us. You know, our little furry friends kept us, I think, very healthy during the pandemic. So I'll be looking to ensure that that is operating efficiently, cost effective, because that really affects our seniors. Clearly, the cost of housing, I do know that the homelessness issue affected our veterans and our seniors who really basically were out of the job market. They suffered the recession, basically aging out of the job market. So that group of homeless people, I believe, need first priority, because they are economically starved from affordable housing. Those who have the mental health issues, drug addiction, that's a whole different thing of homelessness and a more vexing problem. We've spent $17 billion in trying to solve the homeless problem with state resources. There are some new programs coming forward. I could provide details for you later on. It's probably very complex now, but the focus is on behavioral health management and working with our sheriff's department. They have a new concept using social workers who are also deputies who understand the dangers, but also that you talk people back from the ledge, so to speak. So there's a lot of money coming into programs, and the county will be very eligible because it's a pilot project for some of those.
Well, that's good to know, because obviously we have quite a problem on our hands when it comes to addiction, and then of course we have the fentanyl problem that has escalated beyond belief right here, even in Orange County. And I know there's a bill that you just got passed. So tell me a little bit about that bill and what it will do.
We didn't get, it's an education bill that would have required those incarcerated for drug abuse or drug trafficking or who are going out on probation would have been required to take a course on the dangers of drugs, in particular fentanyl. There were some issues with it. It was a cost issue. The governor is really reining back. He vetoed a number of bills, and it was nonpartisan vetoing, by the way, because of the cost of some of them. But I think that that will pick up on the next round. But I think it's really important to understand that Sheriff Barnes came to me in 2016 about the fentanyl crisis. At that time, we had about I think it was 37 deaths, but the importation was ratcheting up, and now I believe we're at close to 1,000 that are passing away because of overdoses with fentanyl, and it takes your life immediately. I mean, I think it's like seconds that it gets into your system. But I introduce bills every year from 2016 to just now, and every one of them didn't make it past the Public Safety Committee and the supermajority in the legislature. I think their eyes are being opened now when we see how horrible it is, and now how our kids are being drawn into this with this rainbow fentanyl.
Yeah.
It looks like Skittles.
It does.
So,
and it's in those bags, too.
Yeah, right. So we've had children right here in South County in Aliso Viejo, very tragic situations with parents. Their children go into their bedroom to do their study. A couple hours later, no noise. What's going on? Go in, child's dead over their books. And it was horrible. And we have to do something about it. So I'm hoping the legislature, we tried year after year with Sheriff Barnes coming up. I'm just hoping that the eyes and the hearts and the minds are open, that this is a poison. It is a poison. It kills. It can kill you just touching your skin if it gets into your bloodstream that quickly. So I do believe relief is coming, but it's a long overdue, long overdue.
It is long overdue, absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you mentioned. So the governor has vetoed many things that you've brought to him. Is that an issue of working together? I mean, you got to work across the aisle, right? And if you have a one-party system, then maybe that doesn't happen sometimes.
We actually, on the issues that are basically nonpartisan, I think I've had very good luck. I've co-authored a number of Democrat bills. I can bring out my list for you. So those things do get to the governor's desk. What I mentioned is that as looking at what was approved and what was vetoed this year, he's vetoed a lot of his own party's bills, and it has to do with a concern going forward in 2023. There won't be money. I believe they're predicting $1 billion less revenues coming in this year. That will affect actually the care court that the county is responsible for setting up, and I heard that from our county staff. So this is something where the inflationary side of the ledger is even affecting local government's cost or various services and programs. And we could talk for a long time about the cost of living. Very important that people start paying attention to how these things came to pass. The Republicans tried for years to get the sales tax and the excise tax off of gas, and no luck. And now we see it's almost $7. And there are solutions there other than more studies and more studies, and that's basically what the other side talks about. We have to study, cost pricing, price gouging. No, we have to take some of those taxes and take them off. They are not necessary. And so those are the things I hope people will pay attention to on this round.
Well, fantastic. And then just tell me something that you want our seniors to know about you for your candidacy.
Well, I had the joy, the honor, the privilege of being your supervisor. From 2007 to 2014, we accomplished many, many things. Most importantly, when I was in the assembly, we were able to stop El Toro Airport from damaging our environment. And I was in that battle with your community leaders here in Laguna Woods for nigh on to, I think it took us 10 years. So remember that I'm here as your advocate. I was very involved in senior issues when I was in my early 20s. You are my passion, and I will work very, very hard to ensure you have the services you need. And by the way, the governor just signed a bill of mine which will make it easier for seniors to access services, not having to go to each little agency. There'll be a collaborative plan. They'll have to approve that because there's a privacy issue, but as long as they're okay with that collaboration, they're going to get much better service from our services from the aging agency.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Very nice to see you again.
Great to be here.
And
Thank you for having me.
If you want more information about Pat Bates and her candidacy, you can go to batesforsupervisor.com. We'll be right back. Elliott, who's the executive director for the Pacific Air Show. And this weekend was an amazing show, and congratulations to you. You pulled it off again.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been a beautiful weekend here. We're out here at Joint Forces Training Base at Thunderbirds, and we just couldn't be happier.
You know, it's a huge event. How do you pull something like that magnitude? Paul, how do you pull it off?
Well, it's a complicated event to plan for sure, right? Because not only are we dealing with what happens on the beach in terms of the event on the sand, but also we deal with what happens out in the water, protecting the airbox so that the pilots have a safe place to fly, dealing with all the marine safety, and then you have all of what happens in the sky. So you're talking about air traffic and making sure that it's safe up in the sky as well. So you deal with the land, the sea, and the sky. It is a definite, complicated planning operation, but we have so many great supporters through all the different agencies, groups, JFTB, our partners at Orange County Airport and the Lion Air Museum. So I wish I could take credit for it, but honestly, there's hundreds and hundreds of people that make it possible.
Well, they need somebody to pull it all together, so good job. What does it mean for Southern California to have this air show?
Well, I'm really proud to keep the air show in Southern California and to host it, frankly, in my hometown of Huntington Beach. I'm born and raised in Huntington Beach, so I have a reputational investment. My business has been based there since I was 22 when I founded it, and I was always passionate about aviation, and so I saw an opportunity to merge my profession with my passion and make an investment in my community at the same time. So that means something to me, and we're going to continue bringing this forward as long as we can for the benefit of the businesses and the residents alike.
And one thing I thought was very unique is that we actually had the recruits here this time.
Absolutely, yeah. We had, I think, over 30 recruits, 32, I think, to be exact, enlistees, future soldiers and their families, which is amazing, right? We're just so thrilled to be able to make part of the welcome ceremony for Pacific Air Show, the arrival of the Thunderbirds, and this whole sort of like Southern California celebration, and commemorate it with the enlistment of these great soldiers who are going to go and serve our country, which it's a true honor, really, for us at Pacific Air Show.
I really like the way you guys coordinate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. To follow along for next year's event, subscribe to their Instagram at Pacific Air Show or visit their website, pacificairshow.usa.com. Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. Marla Anderson, who is here on behalf of Providence Mission Hospital. Well, Dr. Anderson, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, we are in the midst of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's very important for everyone to pay attention to this. Even men, I've talked to several different doctors who talk about how men now are showing up having breast cancer as well. So with that in mind, what are some of the important things that we should remember during this time?
I think the most important thing is to focus on prevention and early detection.
Okay.
So, mammograms have been shown to save lives by early detection, and that's the goal. I think that some women get confused that mammograms are preventative, but they don't prevent cancer. They just early detect cancer. We do recommend once a year screening starting at age 40, although there's some varying guidelines out there. I think anybody that practices breast and takes care of women with breast cancer, recommends once a year screening beginning at age 40, hopefully with a 3D mammogram, which has improved detection and decreased callback rate for patients.
Right.
So first, though, before that, I mean, I would say prevention and knowing your risk. So, you know, we all want to stay healthy and make the right choices. And it really is so important,
Right.
especially as we age. And then knowing your risk, kind of where do you fall in that category? Where doctors, you know, can help kind of sort out that risk. My office can help sort out that risk. We look at many different variables that add to risk, and we use some tools that help us calculate the risk. If women fall into a high risk category, then we offer more frequent screening, more frequent exams, kind of conversation about risk reduction. And I think a lot of women, you know, especially if you have a family history, a lot of women know they're at high risk, but then that causes them to maybe avoid looking into that further because it's a little scary.
Right.
But we know that early detected breast cancer is highly curable, very treatable. And so that's really our goal. We don't want to find a lump. We want to find, you know, something that's small that we can't feel. We detect it early.
You know, there are a few myths, I think, out there. And one thing I think is interesting is that, you know, they changed the age from, I believe it was 50 to 40. But, you know, there are some things, like you mentioned, that you should do prior to age 40 for early prevention. I mean, are there myths that we should be aware of before that age?
Well, I think some of the myths are that, one, you know, if you don't have a family history, you're not at risk. So genetic risk is really only about 5 to 10% of the breast cancer. So the large majority of women diagnosed with breast cancer do not have a family history, and there's no, you know, known genetic risk that would have been passed down. As we age, our cells change and they get older, and that's really where the risk comes in. But it doesn't mean that women in their 20s and 30s don't get breast cancer. So I think just breast awareness starting in your 20s is really important. And then it's even more important if you have a family history. So if you have a strong family history or you test positive for a certain genetic mutation, we start early screening in your 20s. I mean, we start that early.
Okay.
You know,
talk to me a little about the genetic testing. So is that something that is discussed with your primary doctor as you approach a certain age?
I think it's based on family history more than anything. So it's going to be family history driven, and you can kind of see a pattern, and you may fall into a pattern where you're at risk for a certain genetic mutation. I think a lot of primary physicians, family medicine doctors, gynecologists are very well aware now of the need to look at genetic risk and then refer or offer that testing. And test positive, it's important to speak with a genetic counselor to talk about what's recommended. Really, it's screening. So if you're at a high risk for whatever disease you test positive for, then it's taking advantage of more frequent screening and, you know, have early detection.
Okay, great. Good information. You know, in general, for all of our sakes, whether it's breast cancer or any kind of cancer, what are some things that we should keep in mind about keeping healthy?
We've said it for years, and it's eating a good diet because, you know, I think especially Americans don't eat well. A whole food, non-processed diet is so important, but it's really hard to do in our environment, our, you know, busy, stressful American lifestyle. But if we eat good food 3 or 4 times a day, that's anti-cancer, I mean, you're really helping yourself.
Right.
And we hear it all the time. It's just that it's really hard to take that step to eat well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
for
true.
So many reasons, but just, you know, something in a package, we don't want to eat that. We want to shop periphery. We want whole food, getting back to the basics, you know, just, so I think it's really focusing on that. That is just a huge step.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
And of course, staying active is also very difficult to do
Yeah.
because here we are. I mean, I don't walk that much during the day when I'm sitting at my desk, so it's really hard to do. So what are some things that you would suggest?
Well, I think you have to just make the time for it. You have to make the commitment. I mean, there's no way around it. Now, I take the stairs at work. If I have time at lunch, I'll go do stairs. I mean, anything to keep the body moving. So exercise not only maintains our weight, which decreases risk for cancer and breast cancer, but the exercise itself actually releases anti-cancer factors, actual molecules that are anti-cancer. So the exercise is kind of multifactorial, many benefits, from multiple angles, but we have to do it again. I mean, it's making the commitment and carving out the time. And, we don't we're not like Greece. We don't get those wonderful siestas and, we're just very busy. It's just the way so it's making the time and carving it out.
Exactly. All right. Well, any last things you'd like to remind us about Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
I think mostly just making sure you take the time to go get that screening mammogram, because even that's hard to do, to carve out the time to do it. We tend not to take care of ourselves sometimes because we're busy. So prioritizing yourself, using the month of October as the time to remind yourself to go get that screening mammogram, because it does save lives and it's so important, and just breast awareness in general. So,
perfect. All right, Dr. Anderson, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this. The meeting for tomorrow is at 9:30 in the morning, so that will immediately follow our morning broadcast of This Day, and that's the third annual board meeting, October 6th at 9:30. All right, let's tell you what movies we have for Friday and Saturday, just a little preview. On Friday, we have what's called The Hunt, and you can see that at 2 p.m. with subtitles and 6 p.m. without subtitles. And then on Saturday, a very action-packed, futuristic movie with Chris Pratt called The Tomorrow War. Saturday, 2 p.m. with subtitles and 6 p.m. without subtitles. All right, just a quick announcement about the Cat Club. The Cat Club is having a very fun event where you can learn what cats love best to play with. And that'll be super fun, a meeting October 12th. If you want more information, go to lagunawoodscatclub.com. Okay, let's check out our weather. As I mentioned, it's nice and warm, not too warm, pleasant for the rest of the week until we head towards the weekend. Then we're going to get a little warmer. 82-66, 83-68, 86-66, 87-67, and 81-68. You can always rewatch our program at 12:30 and 5, or you can catch us on our YouTube channel, Village Television. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
How do you comfort a family who's experienced a loss? At O'Connor Mortuary, we start by welcoming them into our space, where families of all faiths and cultures belong. We allow them the time to process their grief, providing guidance when it's needed and listening intently when it's not. We gather the values, the stories, the relationships, and the dreams together and use them to shape the memory of their loved one into a beautiful experience they'll cherish forever. When your family is in need of true comfort, call O'Connor Mortuary.